For bedroom guitar players like me, the advent of digital software amplifiers and pedals and everything else that goes with them is a great step forward. This is the Tone King Imperial Mark II from Nerual DSP. Runs on a pretty average laptop and in my opinion sounds pretty good. Problem is though that you still need a mouse or a trackpad to be able to adjust any of the controls. We want to change any levels, or we want to switch between the different sections and adjust different parts of it. We still need to get a mouse or a trackpad out. That's a bit of a nuisance, particularly if you've got a guitar slung around your neck at the time. And of course, if you're in the middle of a song and you want to change between presets for lead and rhythm, or go into the menus and find a different preset to change sound, that isn't something you're going to do in the middle of a song. Fortunately, the DSP software, like most of the others, can be operated by MIDI. That's the musical instrument digital interface. And if you're not familiar with that, then a quick look on Google will get you all the information you need. There are quite a lot of commercially available controllers around, but I decided to have a go at building one for myself, and here it is. There are about 100 different controls you can adjust on the Tone King Mark II, and all of them are available from this box of tricks. Unfortunately, one of the things that you can't actually access through MIDI is to switch the individual pages. So if you want to adjust away from the Tone King itself, for example, to look at the pedals in advance of the amplifier, or set the wah-wah, or look at the cab settings, or the EQ, or indeed the post output settings, then although there's a switch on here, this actually only changes what the MIDI controller does, and you have to use the mouse itself to be able to switch between these different windows on the Tone King. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. There's no MIDI control available for it, so we just have to make do. If we have a look at what this is actually doing, you can see this isn't a complicated, expensive project with cunning screens on it that will change to show you what all the controls are doing. It was always intended to be a simple and budget project. So I've set the front panel up to look as much as possible like the Tone King itself. So you can see we've got the 3 controls of volume, tone and mid-bite for the lead channel here. We've got the rhythm channel controls below, reverb, speed, depth of the tremolo as well down here. The top 3 controls there are just the input, the gate and the output levels on the Tone King itself. And each of these knobs, as well as being a rotary control, is also a push button. So at the moment, for example, this will switch between lead and rhythm, turn the compressor on and off, overdrive, overdrive 2, the wah on and off, auto wah, etc. And when we switch between pages using this knob, the control changes, but unfortunately we have to manually select in the Tone King itself, as I've said. There are some LEDs you can see coming on and off here, these down here. Now these LEDs indicate when these labels are valid. Obviously when we switch away from the Tone King itself and say look at the pedals settings, those labels no longer apply, and so the LED goes out to indicate that. The lower set of push buttons are all used to select different presets. And you can see there's an LED to indicate which one you've selected. So you've got 6 available presets. This rotary knob has 12 positions, and each position gives you a separate set of 6 presets. So altogether, with the 12 options, we can have up to 72 different presets. You can see that I've also got up-down labeling here. The plan is to allow for the possibility that 2 of the switches could be used for simply cycling up and down through either the banks of presets or through presets themselves. That isn't programmed in yet, but is a possibility for the future. These 6 push buttons are always presets, although the rotary controls are used for a number of different functions, just like the top row. The push buttons are always just for the presets, setting of things like compressor on off, lead rhythm channel, the chorus delay, reverb, etc., self on or off, are all dealt with by the top row. Now before you can actually use the controller, we need to set up MIDI control on the Tone King. and you select the MIDI down here, and this will show us that we've got MIDI mappings, and show at the moment that we haven't got any MIDI mappings at all. Now, one of the things to be aware of is that in the other main settings menu down here, if you haven't got the audio settings working correctly, if you haven't connected to an audio device and got that working, then the MIDI option won't work and won't show up either. So if you haven't actually set up the audio first, then you're going to be scratching your head wondering why the MIDI doesn't work, and that had me caught out for a couple of hours. So once you've got the audio settings right, when you open this menu, and you may need to close it and reopen it, you'll be able to see MIDI input devices down here. This device is using a Teensy 4.1 microcontroller, so it's labelled as Teensy MIDI down here. Switch it on. The Tone King will now respond to any MIDI controls, but we need to set up a MIDI menu, first of all, to tell it what we want it to do. So there we are, there's the MIDI mappings listed, and with that in use now, the software will respond to adjustments we make here. So now, as long as we're selected to the correct page here, which corresponds to the page that we've got here, you can see that the volume control there now moves volume, and there's the push button. The first push switch here is lead rhythm switch. We've got input level, output level, gate adjust, various other things. And if you look at the preset label up here, then these buttons will switch between any of the presets that are set in this particular bank. And if we set the preset switch to the next bank number, then we get a whole new set of 6 presets available there. If we switch to the wah pedal setup on the Tone King itself and turn the knob on the controller to match, then you'll find that the various knobs here match the adjustments on the wah pedal. We've got auto wah. If we turn auto wah on, you can see attack and release are adjusted. We can make the wah active altogether, on and off from the software, of course, but we also have the same adjustments available here from touch switches. You can see the text here labelled wah and auto wah, and the LED on this side indicates that that row of labels is appropriate for the switches in this application. If we then change to, say, the pedal presets, move here, you can see the LEDs change to indicate that in fact none of these, well, not all of them are valid. The knobs now will adjust the controls on these pedals. Now, of course, the labels don't match, but the outline, the layout of the knobs is pretty much right there. We've got six knobs across the top, so these 6 knobs line up with the top row of 6. On the bottom row, we've just got the one blend control there, so in fact there's 2 knobs next to each other do the same task, and then the others line up. So although the box itself isn't labelled with what everything controls, you're likely to be looking at the screen when you're making these adjustments, I think, and so that doesn't really matter that much. Things like compressor on off are actually correct as labelled here. Overdrive 1 on off, overdrive 2 on off, and the wah, if you look at the label, the wah on off also operates even though the wah page isn't the one selected. And the same thing applies to the various other parts of the system. If we look at the cab controls, for example, and switch to select cab here, then the top row of knobs adjusts the left hand side. You see we're selecting the microphone here, and we can adjust its position, distance, mic level, pan and the level of the room adjust, and the push switches operate the various on-off options. Bottom row does exactly the same for the right hand side. EQ works as well. 9, top row of 6 and 3 on the bottom row are the 9 adjustments, and since we've got 3 left over here, they might as well operate input, gate and output from the top. And last but not least, the output adjustments. Again, the layout of the knobs is as close to intuitive as we can get. There's actually too many adjustments on here to do easily, so what I've done is I've actually put 2 switch positions for these, and we do chorus and reverb only with 1 page, and then a second adjustment which then brings in to adjust the delay. Again, the push switches. So we can adjust pretty much everything that there is to control on the Tone King from the controller. However, if you're actually standing up playing guitar, if you want to switch between rhythm and lead presets in the middle of a song, then it's no good getting the mouse out. So in order to accommodate that, there's also a set of 6 foot pedals, very simple foot switches, which mimic the bottom row of 6 buttons on the controller itself, and will switch between the 6 presets in that particular bank. Plugged into the side of the box containing the 6 push switches is a basic expression pedal, and that will operate the wah-wah. Since making this controller, I've actually changed over to a laptop which has a touch screen, which makes things a great deal easier for adjusting controls without the use of a MIDI controller. This makes the box with the knobs on it perhaps a little bit redundant. However, it will still be necessary to have a set of foot pedals for switching between presets, and possibly with up-down pedals to adjust the output level slightly. So one day, this year, next year, sometime, never, I may look at making a simpler controller which is intended to do just that operation and can be just stuck on the floor at the base of your microphone stand. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and hope you found it useful.